Sarah, I can't breathe.
That's on you.
She captured the entire event on her own cell phone, and it's disturbing.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Now, 46-year-old single mom Sarah Boone is finally facing trial on second-degree murder charges for zippering her boyfriend, George Torres Jr., inside the luggage that ended up suffocating him.
Sarah, I can't breathe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
It all happened apparently after the couple was playing a strange game of hide and seek.
He thought it would be funny to be put in the suitcase, so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna joke with you. But then I fell asleep.
But prosecutors say this was no accident. They hope to prove their claim that Sarah had a depraved mind without regard for Jorge's life, and his death was a pattern of violence between them. In fact, 5 years ago, Torres was arrested for domestic battery against Sarah 3 times. And earlier, Boone was arrested for strangling and hitting Torres in a dispute where police were unable to determine who was the primary aggressor.
That video is a big issue in the case.
Now, Jim Owens, Sarah's 9th defense attorney, says that despite her own claims to police that Jorge's death was unintentional,
I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
but she's also claiming his death was an act of self-defense.
She was psychologically and physically abused by Mr. Torres.
How is your purported defense applicable legally?
Last week, Judge Michael Kranick did his best to keep a trial date on track, shutting down a request by Sarah for a professional hair and makeup artist for her court appearances. And with that, trial will proceed.
You know, I had a reputation of taking the most complex cases, of dealing with difficult clients.
In August, Sarah Boone wrote to our True Crime News producer saying, "The world has been having fun with my case since day one. I am nothing more than an oddity to be jeered at and joked about. The surprise is that I keep walking out of the ring in one piece and a smile on my face." Joining me now to discuss this case, former prosecutor and host of the True Crime News Sidebar podcast, Josh Ritter. Josh, thanks for being here. It's always good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sarah Boone is claiming that this is self-defense, but originally she said it was just an accident. We were playing a drinking game.
Well, her defense has now tried to combine self-defense with this idea of battered spouse or battered woman syndrome, and saying that because of this cycle of abuse that was taking place in that home, she was constantly in fear. But how do you explain that when you were speaking to police, both through that body cam and later on at the station, that you never mentioned this fear that you are now claiming was the overwhelming reason as to why you didn't spare this man's life? He was begging to be let out of that suitcase. She was the only one in a position to do anything about it, and she was laughing and videotaping him while it was happening.
Sarah.
Stupid.
The fact that she videotaped it, and it's so disturbing, I can't imagine a jury having sympathy at that point.
A jury may view that it does look like an accident. On those same tapes, her voice also does appear to be very slurred. It sounds like someone who's heavily intoxicated.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
So there is this built-in defense of the idea that she may have just been too drunk and went to sleep, not realizing the dangerousness of the situation of leaving him in there. You could see a pathway where maybe a juror or two might buy into that theory, but that is certainly not the theory they're going into trial with.
A lot of things bother me about this case, but what really upsets me are these court shenanigans that Sarah Boone is distracting us with, when at the end of the day, there is a man who is dead and his family wants justice, and we don't talk about Jorge Torres Jr., we talk about Sarah Boone's antics today. And that's the part, I think, that is just really wearing thin.
You are absolutely right. So much of this case has been about her antics in court, her sparring with the judge. very little of it has been about this man who basically was tortured to death. That's all going to change. The second that jury is sworn in, the second they start taking witnesses, it's going to be much more about Jorge Torres.
Thank you, Josh. Good to see you.
Good to see you.